Is that something I should have on the, yes? Welcome everybody here this evening. We all said, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening again, and those watching on cable this evening. First item on our agenda is public comment. Anyone here for public comment? Please state your name and address.
Good evening. I am Pastor George Ray from Trinity Evangelical Church, 103 Havel Street here in North Reading. And I'm here, Mr. Chairman, to thank this august body for their support of the churches here in North Reading. I am so blessed and so delighted that when this issue of plowing the parking lots here in North Reading by town funds was raised, that you chose to continue your support to do that. I am delighted that you have recognized the value of the church community and its influence for our community of North Reading. And I am very blessed that you chose not to join other communities where there has been an attempt, I believe, to marginalize the church. Now, I'm not going to get into the argument about separation of church and state, but I would say that we as a society have really stepped over our bounds in that regard. We have gone way beyond what the framers of the Constitution originally intended. And so we are the church, and we are a part of the community. There is no iron curtain between the church and between the community. Somehow that fallacy has been created, and we just want you to know that we see you as men of distinction, men of courage, men who have chosen to do a very strategic thing in support of a community outreach and a community event and a community purpose that seeks the betterment of North Reading. So in this season of Thanksgiving, I say thank you. Thank you. And I'm sincere about this with all my heart. Thank you. I think you are a courageous group of individuals, and from my heart and from our churches, I say thank you.
Well said. You're welcome.
Very welcome.
Reverend Rachel Fisher from Aldersgate United Methodist Church, which is at 235 Park Street, and I reside at 271 Elm Street. And just to underscore the same thing that he said, just a genuine thank you from us as well. We're a smaller church on a smaller budget, and we really appreciate the help. We do hope that we're benefiting the community not only as a community building group and providing religious services, but also by opening our building to at least 9 different community groups at no charge, at simple donation. So hopefully just having the building there for the community building, the religious services, and also opening it to AA groups, the community chorale, a preschool, Compassionate Friends, all sorts of things like that are seen as a benefit and a good investment for the town to be making. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Hughes.
Reverend Richard Hughes, the pastor of the Union Congregational Church in North Reading, 152 Haverhill Street. And I'll be brief. I echo the comments made by my colleagues and would add, in the case of Union Congregational Church, services that are provided to the town at no cost would include the utilization of our parking lot for the Batchelder School. On a daily basis, there are 25 minimum cars parking in our parking lot twice a day. Any events in the evening for the Batchelder School, the parking lot is used, actually to the point where there are times where we've come for meetings in our own church and not been able to get into our own parking lot. In addition to that, I would lift up last year when the Senior Citizen Center was being renovated. They needed a place for their senior citizens exercise class, and we made our hall available twice each week for a period of 6 or 7 months. So I too thank the Selectmen for recognizing the services that the churches provide to the town at no cost.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
That's to you.
if I may. I'm the one who brought up the topic that night, just so that you know that what my thinking is and why I shared it. The town of Webster had decided to do this. This was the town that I was familiar with, and I don't know if any other town did it, to be quite frank with you. And I don't necessarily agree for them doing that, but I do believe in transparency, and I think most people in this room believes in transparency of government. I think it's very important. And my point in bringing it up was primarily to say, okay, this is something we do. There are probably some trade-offs. We need to know what those trade-offs are. Not only do we need to know it, but I think the public needs to know it, because the public is very sensitive to this issue, and they wonder why some private institutions, religious or not, receive services that residents don't get, because they don't get their driveways done and so on. So I think it's very important to have transparency, and if we show, what does it cost for us to do services for such as snow plowing for religious institutions. It should be visible for the public to see, and then understand why. I mean, I don't know about your churches, okay? I know that St. Teresa's helps us with the elections, the trade-offs. You mentioned the batch uses your parking lot. So there's a trade-off there, and these are good things. I think people need to know that, and I'm glad that's why you came forward, because people don't understand that. But I still think that it should be, we as a government should be as transparent as we possibly could be, and people should see that, and then see the trade-offs, and then hopefully get rid of these misunderstandings that exist as a result of it. Okay, so that was my primary reason for bringing it up. I don't know if I was eloquently clear enough in that, but that was the direction I was trying to go. I did speak with the director, the DPW director, and as far as I understand it, the work is done at the end. Everything else is done first, and that's a wise thing to do. But then someone's going to ask, well, that's on overtime then. so people, they're getting paid overtime to do the church services, parking lots. I'm sorry, and but people don't understand they're doing it last, and that's the only reason for that. And usually, I believe it's town employees versus contract services, from what I understand. So again, I go back to the transparency. no intent should be given, in my estimation, to stop doing a service unless we have a reason to do so. As far as the church and state separation, it's something, there's a place for that. There are times there should be a distinction between the two, all right? But when you're working together as a community, you work together as a community. So, again, to reassure you, my point was we should have it as a line item on the services that we provide. What does it cost? Even if it's an estimate, because even if it's hard to put it together, we know how long does it take to do the parking lots? 2 hours? Whatever that is. So that should show there. So that's my perspective on that. And I wasn't asking the board to decide to stop doing that. Not at all. But my point was that we should look at and identify the benefits of such.
Yes.
I think that if you're going to put a line item into the town budget, then you're going to need to start putting in line items for parking and other services that the church gives. It just has to be equal standard all the way around. You can't put a line item in the town budget that says this costs the town this much, and then not put a dollar figure on all the other services that the town receives from the churches. And you brought up the issue of the elections at St. Teresa's. Not only does the town get that space for free, which you would have to pay for it, but it's my understanding that the town is allowed to store its voting equipment there year-round. And you'd have to figure in what the costs are to move that equipment back and
That's
forth.
what we would have to figure out. That is correct. We would have to do those things, and I think it's important to see those things.
Jeffrey, through the chair,
So,
and I'm going to end this conversation right now because I'm getting very angry with you.
why?
Okay? First of all, there will be no line item in the budget following of church streets as long as I'm on the board and I have the support of the rest of the board members.
That's fine, but
Right.
I believe in
I think,
transparency.
I don't care.
Well, I do,
I
and
think,
I think there are a lot of other people who care.
I think that, as I said last week, when this, a couple of weeks ago when this came up, that the churches do the community a service. And they do more for the community than they get from a few hours of snow plowing each year. Let's end it
Well,
and
don't you
move
think
on.
people should know what that is? Don't you think it's a wonderful thing to share?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I think people do know.
They do.
There's only one person in this room that I've heard raise this issue
Right.
for over the last year, and I'm quite frankly also tired of hearing it. I think most people in this community know what every church in this community provides to the residents of this community, and it's overwhelming. Far exceeds what this community does in terms of plowing each church parking lot. I'm done with this. I don't know what your issue is. Separation of church and state. Read the Constitution. Same thing with the food pantry issue you have. I don't get it, and I've had enough. We've wasted so much time on this. I've had it. And I don't want to sit here every other Monday night and have this discussion. I'm done.
Mr. Chair, I don't know why you're going to come up with anger. Why do you have to bring in anger? I haven't brought in anger. I just raised something that people are concerned about. That's
People are
all.
you, Jeff.
Okay.
It's you.
People. I have
That's
a
it.
letter here. I've gotten phone
One letter.
calls. No,
Let's move on.
don't give me that.
All
Mike.
right.
First of all,
We're moving on.
let me just weigh
I'm
in. on
embarrassed
it.
for you guys.
I
Mr.
haven't said
O'Leary.
anything. I'm not angry at all, and as far as you're bringing it up, and I've heard from other people in the community too that have similar concerns, so be it. I too weigh in with the majority, where I believe that the role that the church community plays in this community is the very fabric of the community, and the services that are provided, far outweigh the services that we may provide to them in the way of the snow plowing. That being said, in order for us to quantify